Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Let's let Victoria in. Right, here she comes. Hello, hello. Victoria is here. Hello, Victoria. Oh,
Hi.
oh my goodness, it is so good to see you.
You too. I'm sorry about the lighting. We don't have electricity right now, so I'm just doing the best I can.
Wow, that's amazing. So what are you lit? Are you lit with candles?
I've got a phone's torch, and I've got one of those round things that you use to tape videos.
Yeah, like a ring light.
A ring light, yeah. So I've got one of those, yeah.
Wow. Oh, well, thank you for being here with us without electricity. That's amazing. Oh, and it's so beautiful to see you. We are streaming live on Facebook right now. I just kind of gave a little bit of I was just chatting a little bit about the program. So it's perfect timing that you jumped on. And I'm so grateful that you're taking a few minutes out of your dark night or your dark day with electricity to be here with us. And I was just sharing before I let you in that I know we haven't chatted a lot since you did the program last year and all the shifts that happened for you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing an update. So I'm really grateful that you're here and it just feels so nice to see you. So I wonder if that's, if that's something that maybe is a good place to start, if you're open to sharing a little bit about yourself and maybe sharing a little bit about, before you came and did the emotional empowerment program last year, what was going on with you? What's your story?
Okay. So basically I've had a very difficult relationship with food my whole life. And I remember at like 12 years old, I used to write in journals and I would be saying, tomorrow I'm going to go on diet and, this is going to be so much better if I can just lose a couple of kilograms. And I mean, I didn't really understand why that was, but that's what I was trying to do. So I've always struggled with my weight. I've always struggled with my eating, been on and off diets my whole life, struggled with body image. And along with that, and I've understood this a lot more, and also since your program, struggled with emotions and expressing them. And I understand now that was really stuck with, I was stuck in a cycle with my eating and sugar and eating my emotions away. So that's kind of been my whole life, the cycle I was in. And then in about 2015, I started to recognize that sugar wasn't serving me. And my brother had been doing research around reversing type 2 diabetes with diet. So that was kind of like I was getting information about it and I was learning about it. But I still wasn't quite putting the pieces together. And I was, just again on diet or off diet or very rigid or just all over the place and binging. So it wasn't like a sustainable, I was feeling all over the place with that. And then I came to one of your, I think you've just run them, the workshops that you do.
Yeah.
And you had said something about like, you just disclaimer, that sugar doesn't work for you. And that's something that you are proud of. And it's your way of doing things. And it's in alignment with your values. And I was like, okay, this is what I need to take it one step further into how, not just how I eat, but also how I manage my emotions and how I express myself. And I'd also been really confused with, so I've learned a lot about diet culture since I've started this journey. But one of the things that really tripped me up was a lot in diet culture, especially social media, the message can be, well, not even diet culture, like anti-diet culture, the message can be eat everything in moderation, and that's a healthy diet. So I was actually getting really confused about what I should and shouldn't be doing. And then when you kind of said that in your workshop, I was like, okay, so there is a way forward with this. And that's when I joined the emotional empowerment group. And I also just, on top of that, I knew that I was sort of holding back. I just had that sort of sense that there was more that I needed to express and talk about. And I'd always been pretty reserved and not sharing a lot So it all just seemed to sort of come together, and that's when I joined. Yeah. So it has been a lifelong kind of journey and process that I've been through. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, is, I think is for all of us women, we all have a food story, right? And a complicated journey, and really appreciate you sharing a little bit of yours. And I'm curious, you mentioned there at the end, when you decided to join, and I know there's lots of women watching this who might be in that same spot. I'm curious, when you say you were a bit reserved, like, was it easy for you to say, yes, I'm going to join this group and open up and be vulnerable and talk about emotions and do all this? Or was there a part of you that was absolutely terrified to do that? Like, I'm curious about that.
No, it was not easy at all. I had done other online courses and programs and things, and they also have live groups, a lot of them. And I'd like never gone to a group session, or I had pitched up and disconnected, gone off Zoom before it was my chance to share or whatever. So honestly, it was difficult. It doesn't come that easy. So I was pretty scared, but I think it was something about also the way you share your story that was, it made it feel comfortable, and it made it feel like it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It is what, we're all just humans trying to share something. And what I also got to from watching the workshops was this understanding that I'm not in this alone. And that's very much, a narrative in my head is like, why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? Like, just do what other people do. And so it was this like understanding of like, that's not the case. Actually, that narrative is incorrect, and I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And then through joining the groups and seeing that even more and more and more, then I was encouraged to share much more than I have before in previous programs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. I think that is a huge, like, I'm even realizing, and even since you were in the program, I've learned a lot about, I keep seeing deeper levels of how vital and important it is, especially as women, to be vulnerable and to be in a safe space to really understand those pieces that we're not alone, right? I think we have this, we live in this like social media world, right? Where we have this false idea that everybody else has it together. What's wrong with me? Like, everybody else is so happy, right? We have this false sense when the truth is everybody is struggling with something, whether it's food or their relationship. Like, we all have inner wounds. We all have inner pieces. And until we're in a safe space of other women where we can share that and be held in love and compassion with the wounds that we might have, or the shame that we might need to talk about. And I feel like that's the way through that is missing for a lot of women. And one of the things that I continue to myself improve on creating how we do that in a group. And I know you felt that a little bit. And like I said, I've been learning so much more about that over the last year since we've even worked together. And it's pretty great. So I'm glad that you felt that. And I know that a lot of women listening to this, right, have been burned in the past or hurt, right? Or in communities where, like you, it's like not really like those fears to share are the wounding that needs to be healed, right? That fear of being seen, the fear of not sounding perfect, right? The fear of not being liked, the fear of like, I just better not say anything because I'm going to be judged, and like all that, right? Those are all things that are exactly why we need to share, right? To work through those together in the right space. So it was really beautiful when, acknowledging how difficult it was for you to join and be like, oh, I'm going to actually have to be on camera, and I'm actually going to have to share my story, and I might actually have to cry. I might actually have to be vulnerable. And I remember you doing that. And I remember, you really sinking into that process, and it was really inspiring to see, not just for me, but for the other women as well in the group. So thank you for that. Yeah. So for anybody who is watching this, that's maybe curious to know a little bit more about like your experience in the program. I know it's 8 weeks. It goes by fast. We do a lot. And we go into a lot of these root causes, like what I call the root causes of our sugar dependency. And, how was that experience for you with the group, with the weekly lessons, with really starting to do some of this work for yourself? How was that for you?
Yeah, so it does go very fast. And I think you said this somewhere at the beginning, one of the biggest challenges you're going to have, and this is what I had, is making the time to do this. And so I really had to sit down with the material, print out the stuff, which I'd also never really done before, and do the work. And make time to come to the live sessions, which I couldn't always do because of the time difference, but I did try. So I think that was like on its own was important, that I was like starting to make the time to do that. It sort of forced me to prioritize what was important to me. And then just, I think the live groups are just so incredibly supportive. I felt supported the whole way through. At one stage, I was actually traveling and I was trying to do it while I was like in a hotel room. And I remember just thinking, I'm so glad, even though it was difficult, I'm so glad that I joined. So yeah, I just felt supported the whole way through. It definitely wasn't always easy, but I think that's the thing, is that it's okay that it's not easy. One of the biggest things I also learned was, again, the perfectionism thing. Like, maybe if I don't do the work perfectly, or I haven't properly prepared, it's still fine. It's like, still pitch up, just be there. And I felt part of, there were many women that would also come, the same women would usually come, and I sort of felt part of something quite special.
Yeah.
So it was a really supported, powerful experience the whole way through. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm so glad that you felt that. And yeah, I remember you traveling. I remember that, like joining from the hotel room, you're like,
Yeah.
and I remember that whole journey and supporting you with that. And, I think that's definitely a really beautiful, beautiful message. And one of the mottos that we actually now, I really, really focus on in the group is really this basis of just showing up. Right. Just show up. And you really mentioned it well. And I want to kind of say it in a different way that you already said, is that, making time for what's important to us is one of the things we are the worst at as women. We do not prioritize ourselves. We do not think we're worthy of taking time for ourselves. And even just investing in this program and the time to commit to showing up on the calls and doing the work every week, that in itself is a huge healing experience in beginning the journey of learning how to make time for yourself, right? So for the 8 weeks, that time for yourself looks like showing up for our group. And then after that 8 weeks, you've created space in your life. And that's my next question. I want to hear how things are going for you since, but the idea is that now you know that taking time for yourself is value, right? Is something that's important. And I think this is one of the sort of side benefits of this program, because we as women, and I don't know if you struggled with this too, but we're just always go, 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 always so busy, always so outside of ourselves, giving to everyone except ourselves, or trying to be perfect. I mean, you talked about that. This is a big thing that like everyone that comes through the program is like trying to be perfect. So we get to break down these old patterns, right? These old ways of being, and really step more into a new way of showing up for ourselves, right? And then showing up for people around us, of course. So did you notice that?
Yeah, I think so much of it is, it's like in the process of it, if that makes sense. So it's not just the talking about it, which is obviously important, but it's the like doing, it's the showing up, it's the saying something that's not perfect, like mumbling, making a mistake, feeling like you're an idiot, but then someone's still like, wow, thank you for sharing. And you're like, okay, it wasn't so bad. So yeah, I just think the process of all the things we had to do along the way was what we were learning. We were learning by doing, and shifting our beliefs by having a different experience of what we were doing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. This is what I call like a corrective experience. Right. When we've had so many experiences in the past where it's not safe to share. It's not safe to be imperfect. Right. So then we get met with, well, I can be imperfect and everybody still likes me, right? Like it's good. I was met with like, everybody was cool with it. Nobody noticed, right? Like it wasn't that bad. Those sorts of experiences I think are such a foundation for healing for us as women, right? To really start standing in our truth and our ability to be ourselves, and to let go of that perfectionism. Which is often rooted in that fear of failure, that root of how we're going to look, or what are people going to think of us? Like they're all tied in, right? And we dive into that in the program. So how have things been for you since? The ultimate question here, I want to know, I mean, it's been a year since, well, a little less than a year since you actually finished the program, but You know, and I know that you've kind of gone off on your own after that with all the amazing shifts that happened for you. So how's it been for you since?
So yeah, things are generally, I don't know how to put this. There's a calmness that and this is not every day and it's not all the time. So again, like it's a work in progress always, but there's definitely a sense of like, I feel like I can manage what comes my way, especially around emotion. And when I do make what I think are mistakes or I struggle, a big thing I always go back to is that there's a lesson in it or there's a learning. Like I try to reframe that, and that's very, very helpful. So with the chaos of life, and there is so much in South Africa that we have some difficult stuff going on, I think there's like for me, a stability that I've had that maybe I haven't had before. Then in terms of eating and weight, I mean, weight has just become so not that important to me. I don't weigh myself anymore. But I do feel like I'm in a kind of weight range where I might go up and down, but I sort of trust my body now that I'm going to get back to where it needs to be. So there's like much more trust in myself, I think, generally, my decisions, and that emotions will come and they will go, or that an emotion brings some kind of message that I need to hear. Another thing that's really exciting for me is you used to start some of the groups by dancing.
Yes,
and
we have to
like,
dance.
yeah, but for me, that is like really tough. And I struggled. I don't think I actually ever did it with the camera on. It was something you said, you know, see how you go, but try at one point, you know, do it. I don't think I ever did that, but I have joined. It's like a dance class. It's called Nia. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard of it.
Yeah, it's like movement with music. Somebody shows you moves, but you can really do whatever you want, and you sort of feel it's very, very new. But like I did that on Zoom with the camera on, and I found that being in my body with emotion is very important for me. I've never had that connection really properly before, where I'm able to sort of feel something and then I'll do something with my body to help me manage it, like breathing. There was something you spoke about, like you touch your face or you hold your heart, and those things have been really, really helpful along the way as well. There's like shaking out, which is something I do sometimes. Yeah. So like there's like a much more flexible person that's coming out, because I think I was in some ways quite rigid. And that's, yeah, so that's where I'm at. So it's definitely, there's struggles and it's not perfect, but all in all, I feel like I'm on like a path and it feels good, the direction I'm going in. And I've stopped thinking about it as if I make a mistake with my eating or I binge or whatever. I don't think of it as like falling off the wagon. I'm kind of like, there isn't a wagon. I'm just on a path and it sort of went round the bend and it's fine. It's just my path. So the self-compassion and the kindness is way, way, way different, and it still comes, like the harshness and the critic pops up, but I'm much more aware of that. And I can say, okay, this is what's going on. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is that compassion, that voice of compassion that I've been able to use. And that's something I've been able to really practice on my own and carry through. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm now really doing a lot of much more self-discovery. I feel much more confident in exploring these things, and more authentic, I think, in myself in general. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Wow. Wow. I have goosebumps listening to all of this. This is so beautiful. And even just acknowledging, right? You are here on a Facebook Live with me, like
Exactly.
in front of strangers, right?
Yeah.
Sharing your story so vulnerably. Like you wouldn't have done that before, the Victoria that I know. So that's just a testament to this strength and this inner confidence and this glowing self, right? That gets to come through. And I'm so happy for you. I love hearing how some of these big internal pieces have shifted for you, and how you're able to really, the word that comes up for me is flow, right? Like flowing with
Mm,
life, right?
yeah,
Letting go of
right.
the resistance and the rigidity and the perfectionism and the fighting
Yeah,
and the negativity, and just, it's okay. Like I can navigate this, and
yeah.
I'll get back on track tomorrow, like this gentleness, which is huge. And that movement. I'm so happy to hear that you're starting to get into some dance. This is something that you actually don't know probably about me, but one of the things that I've been actually getting more training in is somatic embodiment healing.
Mm,
And what that
amazing.
means is really understanding exactly like you've been navigating on your own, that I'm excited to bring even more into this next program,
Mm,
is more of those body-centered tools and processes, because those emotions and a lifetime of trauma and baggage, it's all stored in our body. And tapping into things like breath work and movement and shaking, like there's a lot of tools that we can use. And I love that you're finding those on your own. That's fantastic, because it is really important to move energy, what I would call processing, right? Dance is one of my favorite ways to do that. We can shift our energy in just a couple minutes, just by
yeah.
moving or breathing or screaming. Like there's some amazing techniques that we can just let the steam out, so we're not holding on to that in our bodies, and we can be more grounded. Like I really sense there's a lot of maybe turmoil or difficult things going on for you and in your country, and
Mm,
having that sense of inner peace and calm is what a beautiful gift to be able to support you in navigating that. And yeah, congratulations. That's just so beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. Oh,
pleasure, and thank you for everything as well. I really did
yeah.
learn. Yeah, as I said, it wasn't just the theory, because I trust me, I know all the theory. It was
We
the
all
practice.
know, we know what we need to do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the doing, and it was the seeing other people do it. And I think especially you, how you showed your vulnerability, that was like amazing. Because
Yeah.
you often, when you do a course or whatever, that person on the other side is not really going to show that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was just different and so refreshing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I appreciate that. That is something that feels really important to me in my path as well. Like the way I lead is by honesty and vulnerability. And oh yeah, I'm guaranteed to like have a breakdown or cry on one of our calls. I am just miserable right now. I'm having all this stuff happen. And I think that's an important teaching lesson for all of us, like navigate through that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's intense, but it's life, and I go through it too. And I do really, try my best to share in my experience as well, because we're all in this together. And I think that's a really important piece. I'm not some sort of guru or like person who has it all together. I'm just a guide, right? I love that saying. I forget who that is, right? That we're all just walking each other home.
Mhm.
We're all just holding hands, supporting each other, in this. So it's an honor to be a guide in that way. And thank you for mirroring that back to me. That's really important for me to hear, that my vulnerability is real. I'm a real human. We're all real
Yeah.
humans, right? And this false sense again of like this social media era that we live in, where
Mhm.
people are putting on a face, right? Putting on a brave face and pretending to be someone else. And I know my journey is really to stand up here and to be an example for women around how we can be ourselves, our silly, like I'm super silly and goofy, and I'm honoring that more, and trying to like shine that out more, and not needing
Yeah.
to be so like serious and professional all
Yeah.
the time.
Right. And I think that's also something that I've been trying to work on, is that more spontaneous side of myself. I have to give lectures, part of my work, and I'm finding that I'm like throwing in a joke, or I'm like, just flowing, more open, and it's really nice not to just have to try to do everything perfectly. Like, that is exhausting. It is exhausting. So
Yeah.
definitely that playfulness has been important. I think you do talk about that,
I do.
finding joy and finding play.
Yeah.
And I also took that on board. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be definitely doing some good play in the upcoming. I'm doing this more and more. It's so important. Tapping into those things. I love that. I love that you're adding in some jokes and starting to like lightness, right?
Yeah.
Lightness. We all, and ladies listening to this, right? It's so easy to just get bogged down in all the responsibilities and all the heaviness of life. But when we take a break from that, we start to really tap into our true nature, and our true nature is joy and happiness. And right, like look at an infant, right? When they're not hungry or sleepy or something, right? But look at an infant, right? They're just this pure essence, right? And somehow we've got all these like societal layers and all the crap that's been layered on top, right? That once we peel back and start tapping into that again, that's where happiness is. That's where freedom and peace exists. So I love that. I love seeing you own that more and owning your true nature and your true self and adding some jokes. I'm curious. I mean, you're kind of mentioning that about work, but this work that you've been doing since the program and like, how has that affected other areas of your life, or has it? Have you noticed that not only in just being more gentle and compassionate around food, more funny at work, what are there other areas that you've noticed that kind of trickle out into?
Yeah, I think relationships. I think I am, again, not so rigid. I can definitely acknowledge like something might hurt me or something's difficult, but I can also not stick with it and like become resentful about something. I think because I've got a partner who travels for work, so he's away most of the time. And so that's always been hard for me, but I think I'm getting to a place where I can manage it in a healthy way, not in like a resentful or just ignore it kind of way. So going with the flow in my relationships, I think has been really, really helpful. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And then again, just with work, it's also similar, just more open, more authentic. And I think that has served me really well. So I think people pick that up just really naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love hearing that you're able to be letting go of some of that toxic resentment. And I can imagine how difficult that is, right? And finding a way to work through that, right? And to let go of that energy of finding peace with, oh, this is what it is, right? He's traveling and that's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay by myself, right? And all these beautiful pieces. Yeah. This is so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all of this, Victoria. Is there anything we missed? Is there anything else that you want to share about your experience? Anyone who's listening that is maybe on the fence about joining, is there any final messages you have before I'll let you get on with your dark night?
I would just say if anyone is on the fence, that's a great place to be. And I would say jump onto the side of going for it. And even if it's not, you maybe don't speak in the group, or the second group you speak in, or whatever, or you write something in the chat, I would say do it. And I think that you, Danny, you will hold that. I think that people can trust that you know what to do and how to do that. So that's what I would say. Jump onto the other side of the fence.
Jump and the net will appear, right? That famous saying. And it's hard. I know that feeling. You're like on the cliff, you're like, my higher self, my heart knows that I need to be in this type of community and do this work, but it's terrifying. So yeah, I appreciate that message. Hopefully that resonates for someone out there. And yeah, just so appreciate you, Victoria, coming on. And it's been, even just selfishly for me, I'm so excited to hear an update from you. It's been a long time since we've connected, and I love that you've taken obviously everything that you've learned and you've continued deepening into that with what works for you and what you need. And that just warms my heart so much and gives me the motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. So I really appreciate you.
Awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you showing up today. Thanks for being here. Yes.
And
please stay in touch.
Yeah.
I love updates. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Victoria.
Danny.
Beautiful rest of your evening.
Thank you too.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.